Yo, party people in the place to be. What's good? It's the number one Chief Rocket Knicks Universal main man, Uncle Freezie. Welcome to the neighborhood. I'm joined by the Queen B, BK Steph in the building. You know her from Dope Soul Sports Talk. Check her out on all her audio podcasts. She just did a show last night on YouTube. Just nicking it. Make sure you check that out. Queen B, how you doing?
I'm good, Freezie. It's always a pleasure. I say this every week. I look forward to our spot together because I know we're going to always get into it. And what I appreciate about us is we may not always agree, but the respect and the love is real. So appreciate it.
Respect. Just to let y'all know, we was, man, while I was waiting for this ugly slide to do whatever it was going to do, I thought it was going to come out looking better than this, but it didn't. But while we was waiting on this ugly slide to finish, we were up here arguing about Randle. Yo, and legit, man, I ain't Queen Bee. Listen, I want to let it go. I can't. Julius Randle gets the longest leash of any Knick we have ever seen in our lives. Right? I love Randle too, by the way.
Yeah, we know that.
But Randle gets away with so much stuff. It's almost disgusting, man.
But Freezie, go ahead. I'm gonna let you finish it. Finish it up.
Yeah. So first, let me say this. Corey Lee told me to tell you to lay off RJ Barrett. Be easy. Corey Lee said, "Yo, when y'all come on, just tell the Queen Bee to cut RJ some slack, right?"
I'm gonna cut him a little slack.
Yeah, I'm not.
Paquito.
Yeah, a tiny bit. Right.
That's
right.
it.
Yeah, a tiny bit, right? So my thing with Randle is I love Randle. Everybody know I love. Let me phrase it. Let me rephrase it. Of all the Knicks in Knicks universe, the only Knick that I feel like I love is RJ Barrett. But I'm at least balanced on him. I'm at least like a good parent on him. I'm not just going to let him get away with some stuff and then not praise him for others. Right? Randle and IQ, I like a lot. It's almost love, but it's not quite that RJ Barrett thing. Right?
You couldn't tell, Freezie.
I know.
Sounds like Randle is your first love, but okay, go ahead.
Yeah, the thing is about Randle though, is there are times when Randle goes so far off the reservation, you like, yo, I understand you passionate, bro. I understand you passionate. But there are other things that are more important than this moment that you having. Right? I mean, come on. There are more important things, like even bigger than this win right here. Ultimately, you don't want to disrupt the total team chemistry because you feel violated. You know what I'm saying? And I know people are like, yo, but you the number one Randle stan, and you say this for Randle, and I know, but I consider myself reasonable, Queen Bee. Does he not get the longest leash that you've ever seen in your life?
He does, but I'm not surprised though. That's what happens to your best players. Whether he's your best player or arguably your best, they're going to get the longest leash. That's just like, what do we expect? Like, we expect Tom Thibodeau to like sit him down when he makes a mistake, or we expect, Tom Thibodeau to decrease his minutes. It's just not going to happen. I don't think on any team with your star players, with your best players, you're not going to hold Randle to the same accountability that you hold Obi Toppin. And I know there's people out there that's like, oh, come on, Queen, but this is not college. This is not, AAU basketball where you're trying to develop men and you're trying to hold them accountable and helping them learn and become a better person is also a part of the coaching experience. Nah, this is the NBA. It's all about winning. So somebody like Obi Toppin, he makes a mistake. No, you don't have the same rope as somebody like Julius Randle, because you're not producing on the level that he's producing on. And that's just how it is. That's how it is in college. That's how it's in some places. That's how it is in high school when personal development, you would think, should be prioritized. It's the same way. You know, the star player, he can miss practice, he can come in late, he's still starting the next game.
Still
You
starting.
come in late, you miss a practice, you suspended.
You miss a practice because of a dentist appointment to coach on you, and you got a note from the dentist and your mama, and you still ain't starting.
Right. That's just how it is.
Yeah. No, I get that.
Shout out to the chat, by the way. I'm not responding because my internet is so unstable. I can't bring up YouTube in a separate window so I can type in my comments. So I see you guys. I appreciate you, Kaiser Souls 718, but I just can't comment today.
Yeah. Y'all know what it is, man. So y'all know what it is, man. Just, you know what I'm saying, just rock with us, man. You know, we you know, just trying to provide that content sometimes in circumstances that are not ideal. Correct. So don't take it personally. Just take it as we just doing the best we can. Right. But the Randle thing.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
How do you want, when you say he has a long leash, in what instances would have liked Tibbs to do something different? Like, are you talking sitting him down? Or are you talking decreasing his minutes? Like, what would you like?
I would love to live in a world where Julius Randle could argue with the referees a little bit and then focus back on playing. Right? Because referees are wrong a lot.
Right.
Those of us that play basketball, you know what I'm saying? You know, referees blow. For every time they blow the whistle, it's 2 or 3 times they should have blown it and didn't. Right. You know what I'm saying? And man, if you ever played center or if you ever played a big position in high school, you know what I'm saying? And after the game, the school newspaper be interviewing the point guard, and his Jerry curl is straight intact. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? His gold chain ain't moved near an inch. You know what I'm saying? The whole time, and everybody chanting Lil Chris' name. Chris did it. And then you walking back, you got scratches all over your arms, and your shirt half ripped off, and your number peeling, your number peeling off. You know what I'm saying? Because and you barely made it through the game with 4 fouls. Because when I played, you get 5 fouls in high school, right? Yo, you barely made it through the game with 4 fouls, man, and you sweating, and you got scratches in places you ain't even know you've been hit. And you look at the stat sheet, and your stat line be like 2 for 3, 1 from 2 for the free throw line, 13 rebounds, 6 blocks, and then they over there interviewing the dude that took 20 shots in the high school game. He only hit 7 of them, but they swear he won the game, right? So listen, I get what Randle is going through. When you play down low, I get what Mitch be talking about, like he just running up and down the floor for cardio. I get what Mitch is saying. I get what Randle is saying. But bro, that is just a part of the business.
Right.
That's just a part of it. Look
right.
Who showed up. Look who here with us. Bam. What's up, boss?
What's going on, man?
Long time no see, boss. How you doing?
I'm chilling. I'm doing good. How you been?
Man, I've been up and down, man. But it's good to see you, though.
Yeah, it's good to see you, man. Seeing you guys on, I was like, I was just doing some work, listening in. So I figured, well, I might as well jump in and say what's up.
Me as well, right? Me as well. I was just throwing this thing out there about Randle having the longest leash of any Knick in recent history. Like, he gets away with so much stuff. I just wish he could reel it in. And I love Randle, but I wish he could just reel it in some, right? Just reel it in some where he can be focused on the ultimate outcome of games as opposed to what's happening in that moment.
Right. You know, Randle needs that vet that has more strength than him. In my opinion, he needs that guy that, and I don't mean more respect than him. And like, I feel like Randle has, well, maybe now it's Brunson, but until Brunson was here, Randle probably had the most respect on the team. You know, just amongst players. I feel like you need someone who has more respect than Randle You know what I mean? That Randle looks up to, that Randle respects, in order to help him. Because I don't know if he can do it himself. I really don't. I think he's so emotional. When he gets caught up in those minutes, it's like you know, you ever been in a fight and you just kind of black out.
Yeah.
You don't know what's happening around you. You can't think of nothing else but what's right here, right now. And I feel like he gets in those moments and he can't see any of that. He can only see what's happening right now. And he needs someone that he respects that can snap him out of it. Because, I mean, you've seen, you know, if Quickly or someone tries to do it, he doesn't respect them enough, I don't think.
Right.
You know what I mean? And, is he worth going through the measures to get a player? That's one of the reasons why, if it was within the Knicks' salary to do so, and he wasn't expensive, well, I think Chris Paul would be good for the Knicks, because I think he's someone Randle would respect.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And would help keep him in line. And Chris Paul is not going to be afraid. You know, he's known for addressing players and helping to keep people in line. He's known for that throughout his career. You know what I mean? He wouldn't be afraid to do it.
Right.
You know, it's tough though, I mean, because you expect for a guy who's 28 years old, going to be 29 years old, to learn how to do it for themselves too,
Right. But when we talk about holding him account, like he has a long leash.
Yeah.
Are we talking about he has a long leash with the officials? He has a long leash with the coach, and Tibbs should do something about it? Like that, the original question. I just want to make sure when you said Freezie has.
I think it's the organization enables him.
Okay.
Right. I think the organization enables him. Right. With the and not listen. I know some people have to in order for them to get the best out of their talent, they have to work themselves up and get on razor's edge in order to be the best that they can be. Right. I understand that some players are like that. Your Ben Wallace's, your Ron Artest type players, they have to play lathered up, so to speak. Right. But my deal is I think Randle is talented enough not to be in that zone, or to think that he has to be in that zone to be an all-star level player. Right?
I think he does.
I think he does.
I think he has to be lathered up, because to activate the talent, so to speak, the talent is there, but he has to play lathered up to activate it, because I think that was the difference in the playoffs.
Yeah.
The talent was still there, and I get the physical limitations, from the ankle, but emotionally, he wasn't the Randle we were used to seeing.
Right.
And I think he has to be on razor's edge. And anytime you're a player that has to play on the edge, you're going to go over a few times.
Right.
And I think last year he did, but that was nothing. I thought last year was great.
Yeah.
Right.
Because if you remember the games in which he went over and got texts and whatever, he came back in the second half and played like it didn't happen. Right. Or he sat down for a little bit and came back like it didn't happen. So I thought he was awesome in that respect last year, but I think he has to play on that edge. I just think so
too. I think so too. I think that's who he is, and that's where he gets the energy from. I mean, you can see times in some games where he felt like he wasn't getting the foul calls, and then he'd come down and just monster his way to the basket, dunk on somebody, grab a mean board, and scream. Like, I think he needs that. That's his fuel. You know what I mean? And you notice in the playoffs, he wasn't doing any of that. He wasn't talking to the refs, nothing. And then you can just see in his body language, it wasn't there. I think he has to play that way.
Okay. I was thinking to your point the whole time you were thinking, I was thinking to myself, does he miss Taj Gibson? Now the only thing, like a cat like Taj, though, it's a double-edged sword. Like, you bring that guy in to be Randle's babysitter, but Tibbs would want to play him a lot too.
Okay.
Yeah. So
he would have definitely got Obi's minutes, probably.
Yeah. Like where, you understand what I'm saying? Like, where's that balance? Like, the guy to come in and be in that role, but then not be, But Queen Bee, let me ask this. Let me ask this. This is one of the things that I've been hearing around Knicks universe ad nauseum, and honestly, I've been trying not to speak about it here on Blorange Tears because I honestly feel like the Knicks fan base, not the organization, but the fan base, is a tale of two cities, right? It is on one side, one city is, a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. We're a second round team. Let's just continue to build going forward. Don't do nothing crazy. Just accept who we are and where we are and just build organically off that. And then there's the other camp that is, you got to strike while the iron is hot. The Knicks don't often get the hammer. So when you get the hammer, you got to swing it, right? What camp are you in? Like just going for looking at where we are you thinking like this is a steady second round team and we should just continue to build organically and take the gradual steps? Or or are you in the camp of you never know how long a window like this is going to be open and you got to strike while the iron is hot?
I'm in the latter camp, but don't be reckless with it. If there's nobody there, then you revert to just that slow, steady climb. But if you have the opportunity to swing the hammer, swing it. If the window is open and you have an opportunity to make some moves that's going to significantly improve the team, do it. But don't be reckless just going out and getting, anybody because you're making a move just to make a move. If there's nobody available that does that, then you just stay, you just stand pat. And you just, gradually improve until something becomes available.
Okay. So what do you think, Sam? You think the same thing?
I'm in the exact same boat. I think the Knicks are in that maybe even unique position where you can look at the team and say, hey, you're steadily growing. And if you add a few pieces, you can get better. And also in a position where if you add a piece, you could maybe even contend. You know what I'm saying? So either way that you go, you would think the Knicks should still be good. But when you look at the Eastern Conference, it's open.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I think they would be crazy not to look and say, is there something that really makes sense that gives us a good shot?
Right.
I think they have to look at it because, it's open, I think, in the Eastern Conference. But if you don't find a piece, you just don't throw somebody. Like, you don't go, in my opinion, you don't go get James Harden and add him to this team because you say, oh, well, we're getting James Harden. He can da-da-da, because I think that would be a big mistake.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
All right,
you look out there, if you find something that you're like, this is a really nice piece that gives us that closing ability, that gives us this, and that, we think this is going to get us over the top, you do it. But if not, I think you say, all right, well, let's add some other pieces and see how we grow. Make sure that our salary cap is right. Make sure we have good contracts. We got draft picks. So when it's time to make that move, we can jump out there.
Okay. All right. So I hear you. I hear both of y'all. And I'm in the opposite camp. I'm not just for the sake of having a balanced debate, but I'm on the other side because I feel like historically, when we get to these moments where we feel like there may be a guy that we can go out and get that takes us to the next level, we somehow, and I know this is not the same regime and the same rosters, but we somehow take a misstep and it causes us to kind of slide back a little. And for once, instead of us, say, maybe trading for a McDice or a Melo or something like that, just look at the kids and say, are these kids good enough in a year or two to get us to that place that, say, Bradley Beal would have gotten us to? And if the answer is yes, then I say let's grow internally and just improve around the fringe areas, right? Like bring some get a pass first point guard, an old school point guard to come off the bench. That way he can create shots for Obi or at least create offense for Obi and Josh Hart, guys that normally don't really create offense for themselves, right? Guys that come in and help improve around the fringes, right? But ultimately, when I look at when I look at where we are, and I see things are wide open, I think things may be wide open for more than the time that we anticipate. I don't think it's next year is the only year that this may be open. Am I seeing that in a weird way, or do y'all see the same thing?
I think what you're saying is legit. You could, disrupt the chemistry, the camaraderie, and the Knicks can take a step back depending on what you do. But to answer your question, you said yes. My answer to the question is no. I don't think in a year or two these young guys are going to grow into anything like Bradley Beal. I just don't see that type of ceiling on our guys. I hope I'm wrong. I don't see that type of ceiling. So I think standing pat, I don't see this team growing into that. I don't see players on this team growing into that. Now, can they take a leap? Yeah, I'm hoping, but I don't see them growing into those types of players, and I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, and not only that, I'm not sure that the East is gonna stay wide open for that long.
Okay.
Because teams are going to be looking to Bradley Beal is going to go somewhere if he's not going to stay in Washington, which I think at this point, I feel like from what we hear, he's probably going to go somewhere.
Right.
He could end up in Miami.
Right.
Right. He ends up in Miami. He's still young enough, and with Jimmy Butler, for that to be a duo with Bam, for that to be a duo for a little while, and that could be a pretty tough duo.
Right.
Then there's reports out there that there's at least a pathway where Miami could get Dame and Bradley Beal. I don't think that's going to happen, but if that did happen, they'd be together for a few years. You would think. Milwaukee still has Giannis, you know what I mean? And if they put pieces around Giannis, that's going to be a powerful, that's going to be a powerful team still. Philadelphia still has Embiid, Tobias Harris. You got what's his name, Maxey, right? If they add a Bradley Beal, Harden moves on, and they add a Bradley Beal, they're going to be around for a little while. You know what I mean?
Let's also get Boston.
Boston's going to be there for a while. If Brooklyn finds a way to add a piece, they could be good.
If Brooklyn adds a point guard.
You know what I'm saying? So I think there are teams that, can still get better in the East. And right now, you're one of those teams that could, I think the Knicks are one of those teams that could elevate to another level. You know what I'm saying? If you can lock somebody up, that makes sense. I think you got to take that. You got to try to get it now.
Okay. Since I have basketball minds here, man, this is fascinating to me. Since I have basketball minds, people that know the game on the court, right? When you look at the Knicks right now, right? When you look at this roster right now, where do you think the priority is in upgrading the starting five? Not like I want to have this guy. It'd be nice to have that guy, but if you're gonna start with the tinkering, like where are you gonna start first?
You want me to go? To me, I've been on record, and I'm not changing. We need to upgrade both the shooting guard and the small forward position. And I think Grimes is going to be a starter at some point. I don't think he's a dependable three-point shooter right now. He very well may develop into that over this summer, but I can't wait to see that. So if I have an opportunity to bring in a starting shooting guard who's dependable and who could defend his position, he doesn't have to be as good a defender as Grimes, but he can defend his position. I'm going to do that. And as much as I like RJ, and listen, if we had shooting at all four positions, including the center position, I would keep RJ. I think you can have one guy in your starting lineup who's not a shooter, right? So if we had a shooting center, I would keep RJ at that small forward position. But because we got Mitch there, I feel like we need shooters at both the 2, 3, 1, 4. We need to surround. We need to have shooters around. 4 shooters, 1 guy who can't shoot. And if it's Mitch, then yeah, we need to upgrade the 3 position. And if we can upgrade it and move RJ to the bench, that would be ideal. I doubt that would be able to happen though.
Right.
But the 2 and the 3, we need dependable shooters around Brunson, Mitch, and Randle.
Yeah, and I'm kind of along the same lines as Steph. I'm a little bit more the 3 position or wing position. 2 or 3, and a shooting 5 that can shoot. I'm a little bit more on those lines.
Yeah, I'm
But it's the same thing. Making sure that we have shooting in that lineup.
right.
And the reason why I say that position, with the 5 is because I feel like with Mitch not shooting, it closes up so much. I love Mitch and I love his rebounding and his defense and his shot blocking, but when all he can do is go from box to box, or he sets screens up at the top, but then when he does get the ball back, he doesn't even look. He's not even looking toward the rim. He's automatically looking to hand it off.
Yeah.
Without that threat, I just think it limits us so much.
Right.
You know what I mean? And if the Knicks could find a way to get a center that can shoot and then a wing that can defend and score, I think we'd be good. So,
Yeah.
the only guy that I can see right now that would be within a possibility of the Knicks getting without it killing their salary cap is Miles Turner. It's the only guy that I can see that can play some defense, block shots, and shoot the ball. And he's not the only guy, but I'm just saying whose contract is like, because he makes like 19 million and 17. It's a descending contract,
Right.
So it's something that you can afford to pay for and still be able to add another wing, I think. You know what I mean?
Right.
But those 2 positions, I think, you got to have a wing that can defend and score, but like can shoot the ball. They got to be able to shoot the ball.
Got to be able to be.
Because
and Sam, I would keep RJ in that scenario.
Right.
Because I think you can have a slash. If you got a scoring center, a shooting center, you can have a slasher on the wing. In a case like that, I would keep RJ Barrett.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, so my preference would be a big combo guard to play next to Brunson, like a Dinwiddie or Doncic did in previous stops, right? Somebody that when Brunson, like for instance, somebody that can run the offense and let Brunson play off the ball a little bit, right? Somebody that can let Brunson go to the bench and actually get rest for a little bit.
Right.
Not your period turnarounds, like not the last 2 minutes of the first quarter and then the first 2 minutes of the second quarter when you get the intermission and all of. When my man gets gassed, you can give him a blow, is what I'm saying.
Right.
Of course, you want him to have rotational minutes, and I get that. And of course, you want him to get into a pattern and a routine. And I get that part too, but what I'm saying is if we can find that guy, that the big guard that could play the 2 next to him, somebody bigger that can defend 1s and 2s also, that can shoot. You don't have to be Reggie Miller at the 3 at the 2 position, but that could shoot, right? And then I think that diversifies the offense with that player and Brunson on the floor at the same time. When Brunson gets trapped, now you're not scrambling, looking around for Josh Hart to rotate the ball to Quentin Grimes. Right. And we see what that looked like, and we know that that's not what we want to live with. Right. You know what I mean? I don't know if that guy exists. The only play I can think about is Dinwiddie, right? A guy like that knows his role, is a vet, can shoot a little bit, can carry your offense in stretches when Randle doesn't have it, when Brunson doesn't have it. Because if you remember in the Miami series, I think there were like 2 or 3 games where Miami hit Brunson with an offense, and Brunson started the game off slow, but then he heated up towards the end of the game once he figured out the defense. But if we had somebody there that can help carry the offense while Brunson was figuring it out, I think we'd have been in a lot better of a place. Now, I'm not saying that Grimes won't ever be that guy, but to this point in his career, I don't see Grimes doing any of that stuff that we described. Right. I don't know because if it's there, I just don't see it. You know, when we go see him live, y'all seen him live. Y'all been to games. Y'all see he can beat his man off the dribble, but then he'll jump in the air and do a weird pass back out to Mitch on the perimeter. And you ask yourself, why are you throwing a jump pass to Mitchell Robinson 20 feet away. If Mitch catches it, what's he gonna do with it?
Right.
Right. You know, those type things that we've seen. I don't know if that play exists. The small forward position. Y'all know RJ Barrett is my heartstring, man. I want every scenario to work out for RJ Barrett, you know, being the 3. But I don't know if he's developing at the same rate as his team is developing. You know what I mean? Like, is he developing fast enough? Is RJ Barrett going to be a good defender and a playmaker and a 3-point shooter and all of that at the same time as this window that we just mentioned is open? I don't know.
Yeah, let me just throw DeJounte Murray in there too. I heard that Atlanta might want to move off of him.
Okay.
He would be that 2 guard too. But yeah, go ahead, Sim.
I get a little concerned about DeJounte Murray and his character a little bit.
Yeah.
There's something that I'm concerned about. You know, first of all, I just wondered why was San Antonio moving on from DeJounte Murray? Right. You know, when he was moving on. And then afterwards, I had never heard anything from DeJounte Murray. And then once he was traded, all of a sudden, he's on social media saying some things. I seen a couple of interviews that he did where he was, you know, kind of talking bad about Greg Popovich and the Spurs.
Yeah.
And I was really surprised, you know, really shocked. And then now, you know, if Atlanta's talking about moving on from him, maybe he's like a silent disruptor.
Right.
I don't know.
I think it's a salary cap issue, either him or Trey.
Right. You know, I just get a little concerned about it. You know, just from looking from afar. But he'd be perfect there, though.
Yeah.
He'd be
and the 3-point shooting is coming around too.
3-point shooting, he can create. You know, he's a defender. You know what I mean? A heady player. He'd be perfect.
Okay.
I think he would.
So I heard the DeJounte Murray thing, but I didn't know how. Let me ask this, because I'm not a point guard. Let me ask Sim. Steph, you ever played point guard? Were you a point guard?
No.
Okay. Me either. I played the 2 and the 3, and as I got bigger, I moved closer to the rim, like most people, right? So Sam, how easy is it for a point guard, a guy that played point guard his entire life, to move to the 2 at the highest level?
At the highest level?
Yeah, because that's what he did. He came from the Spurs, and played for Atlanta
I guess it depends on what kind of point guard you are. If you're a point guard that can shoot the ball, I don't think you have a problem with it.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Because as a point guard, you know where you want your players to be.
Right.
Your teammates to be when you're going to pass them the ball or whatever it is. So as a point guard, you kind of know, well, he probably wants me here and he wants me to do this. He wants me to do that. So I think you can pick that part of it pretty good, pick it up pretty good. But if you're a point guard that is really used to just having the ball in your hand, getting a screen, then getting inside the lane and trying to find a way to create for somebody, you might have a little bit of problems because you get your rhythm from having the ball in your hands.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so now you're sitting and you're waiting on the wing for the ball to come to you. And when you get the ball, your natural thing is to, okay, now let me find something for somebody else. You know, so you do have to switch gears a little bit and be able to and learn how to be a scorer at that point. So if you're like a natural point guard that is a facilitator, you may have trouble getting in your mind that I got to be a scorer now. He's the facilitator and I'm the scorer.
Right.
You know, you may have a little bit of trouble doing that. But if you can do both, which a lot of guards in the NBA today can, then I don't think you have a problem transitioning.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times, especially if you're coming up through AAU nowadays, it's so guard heavy. You know, they're asking you to do, you know, sometimes be on the ball, sometimes be off the ball, you know, when you're learning how to do both as you're coming up.
Okay.
You know.
Okay. Yeah. I'm asking that because I know Brunson can play off the ball. I've seen him do it in Dallas with Luka.
Right.
I've seen him, you know, get into places where he is a excellent relocator on dribble penetration to the basket. But like he doesn't hide himself behind defenders like Grimes tends to do a lot. Like for instance, when RJ puts the ball on the floor and there's an outlet, there seems to be men in between. You know what I'm saying? Like the subtleties that young players have to figure out is what I'm getting at.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And you only figure those things out with experience. You can't just watch film all day and get on the floor and then just put it into practice, because even though you know what to do, what you saw on film is not what's guaranteed to happen in games. And sometimes you have to manipulate the defense into doing what you want to do so that you can relocate to the places that you want to be. Right. My thing is with Murray, I kind of like that idea. What are we giving up to get like is the trade package for him the same as it was last year for Atlanta? Do we have to give up a Grimes and RJ for him?
I don't know. I would. I don't. How much does he make? First of all, DeJounte Murray, his contract is. I mean, he's making $18 million next year, and that's the last year of his contract.
Wow.
Right. So I mean, that's a pretty good contract.
Right.
So you can literally, trade one player and bring back DeJounte Murray. You know what I'm saying? You could say, hey, we're going to move RJ to Atlanta for DeJounte Murray, and RJ is going to make more than DeJounte Murray next season.
Right.
If that's what something you wanted to do, you could. I doubt they're going to take Fournier, but you could do Fournier picks. You know what I mean? So with his contract not being so high, it's probably going to be pick heavy to get DeJounte Murray. You know what I mean? But I think you could probably get him at a reasonable price, to be honest with you.
Okay. All right.
I think you're muted, Steph.
What Atlanta might like also is that RJ is signed to a reasonable contract. And I think that's part of the reason with the new CBA, Collins' contract, Trey's contract, and now you got to sign DeJounte Murray. Yeah. So now you get a player on a cost-controlled, relatively speaking, contract. I just don't think they're going to do it straight up. I just don't know if they value RJ Barrett as equal to a DeJounte Murray. So I think we might have to sweeten the pot some.
Yeah.
Yeah, could he be a part of their future? Because RJ Barrett's extension kicks in for the next 4 years.
Right.
So they'd have him at that dollar or a reasonable dollar amount, even though it's for the next 4 years. So they'd have to see RJ as the future two of that team, seeing that they just signed Bogdanovich and that they have the Hunter.
Right. I think if they were, I don't know if they would want RJ.
I don't think so.
Because
they have the Andre Hunter. That's true.
Yeah, and with having Trae Young out there, you gotta have a shooter.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean?
That's true.
So maybe they would look more towards a Grimes and other pieces. So you might have to give up 3 pieces or something of Grimes and IQ and Obi or something like that to bring back DeJounte Murray. I don't know if that money matches up, but it could get close. Yeah. Because I don't know if they would want to do RJ since he can't shoot.
Yeah. That's a good point. And the thing with IQ, that gives them, they can run Trey off the ball now.
Yep.
Yeah.
And IQ can defend the shooting guards in the league. Even if he's not as thick, as you would need him to be, he does have that wingspan. So he can guard the 2. So yeah, you're right. I think they probably would ask for IQ.
Right. And then if Obi was in the package, John Collins, they might be, I guess they're figuring out what they're going to do with John Collins. That might make John Collins expendable, but they could, move John Collins and do some other things as well.
Make him expendable.
And then the Knicks, of course, would have to fill out their bench because they'd be missing. Well, I guess you would add DeJounte Murray and keep RJ, but you'd have to, get somebody else in place of IQ and Obi.
Yeah, no doubt. And the irony to this, y'all, is we say we don't know if Atlanta would like RJ Barrett, but the irony is, I think the last 4 years Atlanta has drafted a Duke small forward. You know what I'm saying? So we don't know. It's Cam Reddish. It's like Cam Reddish, AJ Griffin, the Johnson kid, and
Mhm.
or 3 years in a row, and then this year would be RJ Barrett. So
Yeah, that'd be
their
something.
love affair with Duke small forwards would just continue. But anyways, I don't know if that's true. It's just ironic that it happened that way.
Yeah.
But
I didn't think about that, but yeah.
yeah, yeah. And but the thing about DeJounte Murray as our starting two, and quickly as that guy off the bench. Now, if you get DeJounte Murray, what are you looking at in terms of how you extend quickly, knowing that quickly will never have, or it appears that quickly would be blocked for the foreseeable future? How do you extend him?
I don't think you do.
Ooh,
I think right now Quickly's. I have a hard. I think Quickly can play off the ball. I think he's good off the ball. As a matter of fact, a lot of when he was a starter, some of his most efficient nights, not scoring the ball, but some of his most efficient nights came next to Jalen Brunson.
right, right.
Right when he's would shoot the ball 60 something percent, 50%. Shoot the ball really high. So I think he can play off the ball. When he's on the ball, I feel like he pounds it heavy, but he's young. He can learn how to, he can learn another way. I think.
Yeah,
I still don't. Even with Jalen Brunson here, I don't see a lane for him to start. I mean, I'm sorry. Even if he stays here and the Knicks don't pick up another guard, I don't know if I see a lane for Quickly starting on this team. I
okay.
don't. You
Yeah.
know, I don't see if he was like if he was the talent of Donovan Mitchell or Bradley Beal, right? Because they're both 6'4". I guess Quickly's like 6'3".
Right.
Maybe you see the lane, but he doesn't. He doesn't. He doesn't have that size or play as big as those guys do. So I just don't see a lane for him to start here, and he wants to be a starter one day.
Yeah.
You know.
And honestly, you can't blame a young kid for aspiring to become a starter at this level. It just shows that he's confident in what he can do. Now, with that said, there are some rough edges, and I agree with you, Sam. I think that the best version of Quickly is sharing in that primary responsibility with another guard on the floor,
Mhm.
not him being the primary guy. I think there's a difference when he has all the pressure on him. You see all of the inexperience
Mhm.
with Quickly, but
So
with
then,
that,
oh, go ahead. Sorry, I thought she was finished.
yeah, what I was going to say is but just because you're a complimentary guard doesn't mean that you can't be an effective guard, right? Just because you split the responsibility, you can still impact the game in other types of ways. Like I think Quickly, at one point during the season, I think up until like March, Quickly was in the top 10 in defensive rating. I think it was like up until March something, and then something went somewhere, and then but you can tell that the defense is there when he's dialed in, right? And so with our guards, I think if we just look at a complete guard next to Brunson, I think that's probably what benefits us best. A defender that can shoot and play make and make life easier for Jalen Brunson.
But why can't that be Quickly then? So because I was talking about Quickly with Trey, being somebody that could take pressure off of him, can bring the ball up, allow Trey to play off the ball. I mean, what's our thoughts about him doing that for Brunson?
So him starting at shooting guard.
Yeah, and doing that for Brunson.
So if you start Quickly,
I'm not saying I'm for it. I'm just
Yeah, yeah,
interested
yeah,
in
yeah.
what you guys are thinking.
But
Think about that.
so RJ, I guess, let's say they did that next year. RJ moves to the 3. I like Quickly. I really do. I really like Quickly and what he brings and the way he's grown defensively. And I really have no doubt in my mind that he's going to continue to grow as a basketball player. I really do think he's going to continue to find ways to get better.
Right.
I wouldn't be opposed to trying it and see it. I guess you just got to kind of see it and see if it would work.
If
Yeah.
y'all do that though, I think y'all got to give me something. And my only if y'all try that, right? If y'all try that, My only thing is you got to give me a veteran point guard off the bench.
Oh yeah.
I can't have another young guard. I can't have a young guard backing up quickly in Brunson. I just can't put that together and envision that with the current path that we're on, looking to build on a second round, trying to be an Eastern Conference Finals team next year.
Right. Well, I think I guess you would have room to add one because you'd be swapping probably Grimes and Quickly, I'm thinking.
Right.
You know? And so then there would be, well, Grimes would go to the bench. You know, if they're sticking with a 9-man rotation, then then it's quick. Then it's Grimes and Hart and Obi and
Hartenstein.
They go with 10.
It's not. That's
you feel me? You feel me? You see where I'm going?
As a backdrop, size is not a concern at the shooting guard. Like he's 6'3", and just not just his height, but just his body type. That's not a concern.
That would be a concern for me.
Okay.
You know, I mean, but he did. You know, it's small sample size. I think they did it successfully this year when RJ was out and he would start at the shooting guard spot. You know, it was okay. It was pretty successful, but a small sample size. I don't know if you're
right.
You know how deep you're going with that.
Yeah,
it's not an issue for me. Because in today's NBA, it's less of a game going to the basket and more of a jump shooting league. And you teach your defenders on the perimeter not to jump up in the air and all of that stuff no more anyway. All you want to do is really contest and close out. So in years past where guards were built like Mitch Richmond and Clyde Drexler, where size, Vince Carter, Tracy McGrady, Kobe, when size mattered like that, it would have been then. Now, I think it's more of as long as I can keep those smaller guards healthy, and I'm not talking about by getting banged up. I'm talking about like basically we all perimeter defenders, all the 3-and-D guys in the league are gonna get hurt. Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, OG Anunoby. For the most part, all the elite defenders out there are gonna get banged up, right? So as long as we can keep them healthy, I'm okay with it. As long as there's a veteran point guard, like in that scenario we said, if it was a Mike Conley and Quentin Grimes coming off the bench with Obi and Hartenstein, then it'd be perfect for me, right? But if we're talking about Grimes is the second unit point, and I don't know. I don't know.
I will say when you name that second unit without Quickly in there, it's just not anybody in there that can create offense.
Not even an ISO guy. There's not even an ISO guy in that group.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So that really hurts our bench.
And this is the reason why I think IQ probably ends up, getting moved. You know what I'm saying? They still have him under contract next season. But then after next season, you got to make a decision. Same thing with Obi. Both of those guys could go in a package, I think.
Yeah.
I think they could.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let me ask you
to upgrade just real quick. He might be our best trade asset.
He might.
Quickly?
He might be. I think he's a better trade asset than Obi Toppin.
I think the draft picks are the better trade assets.
Well, you would have to probably include, I don't think there's anybody that's going to just take the draft picks. They're going to, in terms of players.
Okay.
You have to add draft picks. He might be between him and RJ Barrett.
Okay.
Those two guys.
Have y'all done any draft scouting?
I haven't.
Have you been looking at the draft stuff?
I've done very little. But I've started recently looking at players towards like the end of the second round.
Right.
Wondering if the Knicks may try to move into that second round, or players that may drop out of the draft entirely.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And because I think that's where the Knicks, I think that's where the Knicks are probably going to live this year.
Yeah.
right?
So,
Right.
yeah, so the Knicks to be bargain shopping this year, basically,
Yeah,
is what you're thinking. And there's no harm in that when you're a second round team, and your roster is as young as it is. Because once Fournier leaves, once we do something with Fournier, whatever it is, and once we do whatever we do with Rose, this roster may be top 7 youngest team in the league, with
Right.
Julius Randle, Josh Hart being the oldest guys on the roster.
Right.
but
And so that puts you in that weird space. Like, do you really want your vets to be Josh Hart and Julius Randle?
Right.
I
No.
don't know. I don't think so.
I mean, Brunson is, Brunson is a vet too.
Yeah.
Brunson's the vet too. I'm pretty sure, they're moving up. They're gonna. I think, they're doing a good job surveying the roster and looking to see, because Derrick Rose is supposed to be that vet there on the team. I'm hoping that if they trade Rose or they don't pick up his option, that they bring someone back that's a little bit more vocal.
Right.
Yeah.
Rose. And I,
Yeah.
you know, I like Derrick Rose, but I think this team needs someone who's vocal, like a Udonis Haslam type of guy.
Mm.
And that they'll respect. You know who I would like? I don't think he's coming though. Jeff Green.
Oh yeah, I think Jeff Green would be perfect.
I like him.
He can give you a couple minutes too.
He can give you a couple of minutes
You
too.
know, he can give you
He
some
could, because
minutes.
he's what, a power forward at this point, right? He can play behind those Randle minutes behind Randle, because it ain't a lot of them.
Right.
It would be perfect for him.
Exactly.
12 minutes a game.
Yeah.
13, 14 minutes a game.
Did he win a championship?
Yeah.
He did. That's why I'm saying he may, and he was a big part of it too.
He was.
He was a big part, so they may resign him.
No, I meant, did he win a chip with Golden State? Is what I was going to ask.
This past season with Denver, I don't know.
I'm talking when Golden State won. It was Jeff Green there?
I'm not
I
sure.
don't think so. I think he was still in Brooklyn maybe at that time.
Okay.
Yeah, it might have still been in Brooklyn. But a guy that I have been looking at, and I actually plan on doing a video later on today about him, short video, is Keontae Johnson from Kansas State.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man.
Small forward, 7-foot wingspan. He can shoot the three. Seems to be a good defender. And his story a few years back, I think he was playing for Florida, and he collapsed on the floor.
Mm.
And didn't know if he was gonna, play basketball again. And he's, he made it back. And I think he's the kind of guy that this regime would like, someone who has that kind of, he had that kind of fortitude to fight his way back, and probably has a certain respect for the game. Seems to be tough, can shoot the ball. He was a high prospect back then. You know what I'm saying? He's a senior now.
Yep.
I think he's slated to go somewhere in the 50s. You know what I mean? If I'm the Knicks, he's a guy that I might try to trade up for, to get into that late second round, see if I can snag him. He's a wing player, a position in need, I think, for this team. He's a shooter, decent defender. I think he could work. That's a guy that I'm looking for the Knicks to try to go get.
Right. I like him as a perimeter defender. His low post defense at his size, he's a really gutsy defender, though.
Gutsy dude, yeah.
Yeah. He's a gutsy defender, and I kind of like that, because there was a lot of I saw some critiques that people put out there about his defense around the rim, but this dude was giving up like 2 or 3 inches to guys he was defending,
right?
And I think it was kind of unfair. But he is the Queen Bee. He's like the dude that can do all the glue guy.
Yep.
The dude that can come in and fill in all the little gaps. Now he's not gonna be elite at a specific thing,
right?
But he gives you positional flexibility at the 3 and the 4. I mean, at the 3 mainly, preferably at the 3. You know how Tibbs is with lineups, man.
Right.
7, can you see him at some 3? I don't know if his handle is tight enough. I mean, at the 2, do you see him some?
I don't know. I mean, if he's just shooting it,
right?
If
he's not playmaking, right?
Right. If he's not playmaking, just shooting it, maybe he can do some of that. But he'd be a perfect 3-and-D guy.
Right.
Yeah.
Is he the guy who went to Houston from LSU? Is he similar to that? What's his name? Can somebody in the chat help us out? He was a rookie last season
So,
on Houston, and I believe he played at
Tyree Eason.
what's his name?
You
oh,
talking about Tyree Eason?
Yeah, similar to that or no? Because he's like one of those do it all type.
yeah, I think he
type
might.
of-
Eason might have maybe a little bit more skill. I don't know, but I think
Definitely offensively. Yeah.
Yeah, similar to Eason though. I think this guy's a little bit more like a 3-and-D guy.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? In college he could, a little step back jumper or something like that, but he wasn't like uber athletic where he was going to be
Right.
creating crazy shots. But defensively, as a 3-and-D wing, I think he'd be good, and I think he's gonna. If the Knicks don't get him, he's gonna find his way into the league somewhere. I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. And for the most part, thank you. For the most part, I think there are going to be a bunch of guys like that in that second round range.
Yeah.
With that 6'5", 6'6", 6'7", do it all glue guy range that can come in and be scheme fits for Tibbs. Right. The hustle guys that come in, they'll be, and I hate saying it this way, y'all, and I don't mean it disrespectfully. So when I say it, I don't know if there's another term to say it. But these guys that I'm talking about at the back end of the draft, like say for instance, Charlotte's not going to leave the draft with 5 players, right? They have 2 first-round picks and 3 second-round picks, right? And so if you pull off, say, one of your moves like Obi to Charlotte for 3 second-round picks, you can get those guys like that. That's one of those guys like that Sim just mentioned, where it's like, you get these guys and they can come in and they'll be, again, cheap labor at the end of your bench.
Right.
Like you bringing in guys that's making like $800,000, $1 million at the back end of your bench, but at times they can give you spot minutes until they find their way in the league and then start to contribute. You could probably start seeing them around like after the All-Star break. You'll see guys getting more and more minutes and more defined roles as they learn their way around the NBA and Tibbs learns how they can play in the league.
Right.
So, and I say that, I don't mean that in a way that to make it sound bad. What I'm saying is if you can get guys on those cheap contracts to give you those spot minutes, what I'm saying, right during the season, I think that's a plus for us.
Right.
Because the alternative was Derrick Rose making $15 million on the bench and Fournier making $19 million on the bench.
Right. But even if they don't make it into the rotation, you always want to be filling in the back end with guys that's coming up in your system. So if there is a trade, if there's anything that happens, you have somebody that's already in your system that knows what it's about, knows what the culture is that you can bring in. You think about the player Miami got last year, Jovic, whatever his name is. I'm like, man. And then the player Dallas got last year. I'm like, oh man, I think the guy from the G League. Now, though, I don't think they played, or if they did, they didn't play that much, but they got really good pieces that's not even in the rotation, that's in their system and growing in their system. And so, yeah, the Knicks need to do that. Yeah. Even if you're a championship level team, you still want to be filling in the back end with talent.
Right. Yeah. How about though? You missed the part that I thought I was going to get a reaction out of you. I didn't know.
What was that?
That trade Obi for second round picks.
I mean, for 3, I think you can get a first for Obi. I think you can get. I think a lot of people around the NBA and even Knicks fans, even myself, think that he probably has a little more in him than he's able to show for the Knicks right now. And I think just that speculation, just that possibility can garner some more interest for Obi. So maybe you can get a late first for Obi. I don't know. Maybe I'm being too optimistic now. Sherm went in there talking about 3 seconds is too much. You ain't going to get that for Obi.
Wow. Well, the thing is, I don't know if y'all notice or not. I just feel like Obi is not a good scheme fit
for us, or just
right.
for
I'm not
us.
saying that he's a bad basketball. Sometimes he frustrates me, man. Listen, sometimes I want to put Obi on a small bottle rocket and send him to the moon because I'm like, man, Obi is blessed with these things that everybody wants: the size, the athletic ability, the personality, the work ethic, all these things. And then he doesn't have necessarily the confidence in himself or the coaching staff. And so you're like, maybe he's just not a fit. So if he's not, can we move him and get something for him? And if we can, then we can get like those pieces. One of those pieces, like some said, the kid out of Kansas State. He's like Josh Hart, but bigger. You know what I'm saying? He's like a more. So we talking about the same guy, right? The dude from Kansas State, right?
You muted him.
Yeah, we talk about the same guy, kid from Kansas State. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think we can get a late first round for Obi. I really do. I think we can get a late first round pick. If Sherman was asking who, I think Indiana or Charlotte could give up a late first round pick for Obi.
Yeah. And I would even say, look, like teams with multiple picks, like the Utah Jazz, the Jazz are not gonna take all these players. I think the Jazz have, I think, 4 picks in this draft or something. So it looks like 2 now, but yeah, when teams have multiple picks like that, man, they're not gonna take. Teams generally don't draft 5 guys, 4 guys.
Right.
You know, and so
Charlotte just fell on hard times. They really have a roster.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. They got 5 picks in this draft.
Right. And then plus you don't know what direction the team was just sold today. You don't know what direction they're going.
Yeah.
Yep.
Charlotte was sold today. I didn't even know
It was
that.
sold today.
Yeah.
So Michael Jordan no longer owns the team?
He's not the majority owner.
No.
Anymore.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So you don't know what direction they're going in. And so same thing can be said with a lot of different teams. What I'm going to do is reserve judgment until I start to see things play out. Right? Because we don't know how other front offices view Obi. Like when I talk to YouTubers and other fan bases, they think highly of Obi. They think highly of Randle. You know, you never know how front offices view certain players, especially if we don't know what we got, then you know what I'm saying? If we don't know what we have, how can we expect another team to understand what it is that, you know? Man. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
It's one of those things, man, where I feel like with the draft coming up, I think the fan base as a whole should prepare for anything that comes down the road.
Yeah.
Because the front office hadn't hinted in any which way they're going to go.
Right.
So don't be surprised
at anything.
Yeah.
Someone
you might have to do a merge. We'll be live anyway.
Yeah.
But
right.
Yeah. Wow.
Who did Brother Contreras said, "Do you think Charlotte wants Obi?" I guess so. I say this. They are looking to move. Well, I mean, there's at least rumors out there that they're considering moving that second round, that second pick for Zion Williamson, who was a 4. If they don't do that, they might look and say, you know what? Let's just go get something later. You know, trade a later pick and get Obi, pair him with LaMelo Ball. I mean, that could be real fun to watch.
Yeah.
That could be real fun to watch.
And let me also say this to some. I always catch the Knicks in Charlotte. Y'all know I do the southern route, man. I do DC on occasion. I try to do DC at least once a year. Sometimes I can, sometimes I can't, whatever. Y'all know what it is. But in Charlotte, every time they say Obi Toppin's name in Charlotte, Spectrum Center has a buzz to it. No pun intended.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like I mentioned, like Obi Toppin on the breakaway dunk. When the Knicks Obi Toppin with the down by one. Obi gets the tip ball from Rose and goes the other way to dunk, and everybody jumps up out of their seat and goes, "Oh, boom!" when Obi dunks. And this is in an opposing arena,
Right?
You know what I'm saying? And so you never know how other teams feel about certain players until the time comes for them to actually be able to get their hands on said player. So you never know.
Yeah, right. And Sherwin, the fans are not the front office, so
No.
it doesn't matter really what the fans think, man.
Yeah.
You know, he said he offered Obi and a pick for Hunter in the Atlanta chat, and they said no. Great.
Right. Yeah.
That doesn't mean that the actual Atlanta Hawks are going to say no.
And why would, and so here's the thing, why would Atlanta give up their starting three for the Knicks backup four, and they already have John Collins?
Right.
They already have Jalen Johnson, who can't play the 3 or the 4 because spots are occupied. It's sometimes it's about fit too.
Yeah. For a lot of times. Yeah.
You know, sometimes it's just about fit. Sam, I got you here. I want to ask you a question, bro. What do you think about Tom Thibodeau's offense? Am I losing my mind? Is this a basic offense, or am I losing it? I never got the chance to ask you.
I mean, it's pretty predictable. You know, I mean, it's pretty. I guess it's as basic as it gets.
Yeah.
You know, throw the ball into one guy, see if he can create a double team, and then swing it. You know, they do some handoffs at the top of the key. You know, every once in a while somebody cuts to the basket, but you know, there's not a whole lot to it.
Yeah,
if that's what you want to say. You know, it's pretty basic offense.
Okay, all right. So Queen Bee, I'm not losing it. I just wanted to ask. You know, so when I get around basketball minds, I be wanting to ask basketball questions. You know what I'm saying? I just want to make sure I'm not losing it. Right.
But like I said earlier, part of it, and I think it could be a mistake for our roster. The better your players are, basically you just need sets that's gonna initiate. Like, it doesn't need to be as structured. First option, second option, third. Like, maybe you need that in high school, maybe you need that in college, maybe you need that in the NBA if you don't have guys who can create their own shot. But if you have pretty smart guys on your team, you can have basic sets that initiate what you're going to do, and you read the defense. So the offense can go in multiple ways, depending on the defense and depending on the IQ of the players you have.
Right.
So you can have a more complicated offense, a motion offense, but you have a ball stopper, it's going to stop.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, so who are the players you have running the offense? Is it said in our offense that you can't cut back door? So what the point I'm trying to make is, maybe he shouldn't run this free-flowing offense with the type of players we have. Maybe that's an offense that you run with Phoenix, who have a KD and a Chris Paul and a Booker and those guys who can read defense, or with a Denver with Jamal Murray and Jokic, whose IQ is off the charts. Maybe it's not a bad offense. Maybe it's just a bad offense for the team we have. But the thing with having a more structured offense, keep in mind, is players that can get their own, like a Julius Randle or a Brunson, they can feel a bit constricted in that type of offense, because it's not free flowing, it's not reading. You're looking for first option, second option, third option type thing. So I just think that a lot of it is the players we have, and maybe it's just not meant for our.
Maybe I think it's Mitch. I think Mitch is the hair that's clogging the drain, right? And the reason why I say that is because, RJ can get to the basket anytime he wants. Now, finishing at the rim is the puzzle that we have to figure out. Right. We know Quentin Grimes can shoot the three because he shot above 38% from three. Quickly can shoot it. He shot 37% from three. Brunson can shoot it. He shot 41.1% from three, right? What we don't know is what happens when Mitchell Robinson comes to the top and sets the escape screen. You know how he comes to the thing and just takes off running, right? So now the man is not rubbed off of the dribble man, the man with the ball, right? So now the ball handler's defender is in hot pursuit, right? Now Mitch is rolling to the rim. He doesn't present a target to a big, right? Like if Sim is the point and I set the screen, I'm going to the rim, I'm letting Sim know I'm ready. Give me the ball, I'm ready. I can do something with it. You know what I'm saying? But he don't present a big target. He doesn't catch the ball well in traffic. He doesn't dribble, especially in traffic. And he can't finish anywhere outside of 4 feet away from the rim, right? He can't shoot, right? So if you're the defense, why do you even defend Mitch on the pick and roll? Why don't you just double Brunson as soon as they run it? And that's what teams do, and they glue to our shooters. And Mitch goes through the process of doing it, and nobody even honors the roll man. So because the part of a pick and roll offense is the two major things start with Mitch. The pick starts with Mitch, and the roll starts with Mitch. And if a defense doesn't have to honor any of that stuff,
right,
then now all of a sudden, Randle's man doesn't have to sag off because the paint is not in jeopardy. RJ cutting on the weak side, there is no gap for him to ever cut back door to get an easy layup, right? Grimes' man is going to stay glued to Grimes in the corner. So by the time Grimes catches it, his man is back there. Now he has to catch it and attack a closeout or reverse the basketball. And it all starts with the pick and roll man not being a threat.
yeah,
You feel me?
Yeah. And to kind of piggyback off of Steph, while I do think the offense is basic, I really don't think you got to have a complicated offense to score the ball.
Okay.
Can you execute? You know what I'm saying? I mean, I've seen just your basic stuff being run in all different levels, and it works.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, if the Knicks shot 40% from the 3-point line, when they throw the ball to Randle, then he kicks it and they swing it, it would work every time, and teams would have fits with it. Right? Because we see all the time Randle throw a cross-court pass to RJ or to Grimes, or you get the swing in the hockey pass and someone's wide open and they don't make it.
And they miss it.
Right. So execution is a big part of it too.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You got to be able to execute. We see, Mitch doesn't set really, really good screens. A lot of times he's not even making contact on the screen.
Right. Oh my God.
right,
You know what I'm saying?
right,
Yeah.
right.
So while an offense, doesn't, to me, you don't need to have, let's say this. I think you're more complicated, or offenses that have a whole lot of things going on, they're not for the guys who can score on their own. They're for the guys who can't score.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
And nor are those offenses too, to your point, nor are those offense for young players or low IQ players.
Right.
Those offenses are for players that know how to play basketball.
Yeah. And if you don't have a team that has the super high IQ, you don't want to go to have too much going on, because they're not going to get it.
Right.
And you probably cause more problems than not. You know what I'm saying? You want to have things that are just some basic stuff, so we can get it done, and then we got to figure it out and execute it. And if you have too many things going on, they're not going to remember all of it.
That's a good point too. And I think that was the issue I was having with our offense. I wasn't saying that we couldn't do different things. Oh, we should put Obi Toppin in the pick and roll. You could do whatever you want to do. You're going to come up with those same shots. And if you don't have guys who can knock down open shots, what's changing all of the offense is going to do? That was my point. We need guys who can knock down open shots, and the offense looks much different when you can do that, because we got open shots.
Yeah, we did.
So it sounds like RJ Barrett's the problem then.
His lack of
I mean, not the team problem now. Mm-hmm. Hear me out, right? I'm talking about in terms of what we're talking about in this basic offense. I'm not talking about RJ Barrett as a team problem or a roster problem or any of that stuff. What I'm saying is if RJ Barrett could shoot consistently, then we would have less issues.
No doubt.
If RJ Barrett was like 38% from three,
right?
And I know that's aspiring too high, but he did shoot 40% from three once for a season. So I can't say it's not possible because it happened. But if RJ Barrett was a better three-point shooter, for one, I think people would respect his drives more. because the three would be a threat, and they would respect his drives, and also RJ going to the basket if he would pass more, get those interior passes to Mitch or those kickouts to the perimeter to Grimes to Brunson, guys who spot up for three. Brunson this season as a spot up 3-point shooter is deadly or was deadly this season. We didn't think he was going to be a 41% 3-point shooter overall and a 45% or 44% spot up 3-point shooter. Nobody thought that. Whatever the number, it's like 40, whatever the number is. But nobody thought he was going to be a spot up shooter. But come to find out, Brunson's game is adaptable. Can we get that from others?
That's a good point. That's a good point. Now, talking about RJ when he drives, hitting Mitch on the roll, hitting shooters on the perimeter, he did that in the playoffs. Will he continue to do that when he returns next season? Because if he can do that, if his floor game improves, and I think that does help the Knicks, but knocking down shots, that's what we need. We need to knock down shots.
Yeah, we got to knock down some shots.
And Mitch got to catch him when he's under there too.
Yeah.
So, sometimes, he get a pass right to him, and I guess his mindset is that I'm going up to rebound the basketball. You know what I'm saying? And he's not thinking that he's going to get the pass or anything like that.
That's true too. But also, Sam, like people say on the pick and roll, passing to Mitch, I'm only passing it to Mitch if he's at the basket for a lob.
Right.
I'm not passing it to Mitch on the roll. What is he going to do with the ball on the roll? Like, he's not going to stop and hit a short jumper. He's not going to, if somebody rotates over, hit the guy. He's not going to do all of that.
Doing that. Exactly. Right. He's not going to catch it, see the guy in front of him, put it on the floor and go. He's not doing that at all. So, right now, the best thing that he can do is be able to catch the lob.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? And, part of that problem is once teams close off that lob, now what?
Now what?
With Mitch.
Right.
They close off the lob and that's over with. So you got to go to the next progression of the play. Right. And which ends up being a kick out to the wing or a handoff. But once they close, and if you're not hitting the three, this is where I don't want to blame everything on Mitch, but just having a guy that can shoot and create a little bit, knock down the mid range, knock it down from the elbow, put the ball on the floor and go to the basket, hit a three every now and again, changes a lot when you talk about this offense.
No doubt about it. Do you think, Sam, when they put Mitch in those high pick and rolls, you think it's to bring his guy out the key, or do you think they are really looking for him on the rolls and whatever? Because I'm now in hindsight that we're talking about it, I'm thinking maybe they're doing it just to get his guy out the key.
Just to get him out the key, right? And it could be. But then a lot of times that guy is just laying back.
Yeah.
Not even coming up high. Just,
that's true.
If the screen is outside the top of the key, that guy lays back at the free throw line.
Yeah. Still doing his job. Still bumping cutters. Yeah. Still tagging people. Still doing all the stuff. All the defense that centers do, he's still doing all that. He don't resist. And then when Mitch goes out there, he does not even present the slightest ounce of offensive threat while he out there.
He don't even look at it. He'll get the ball. If he gets the ball out there on the wing a little bit or closer to the elbow, in between that little gray area, he catches it and he automatically turns the opposite way to hand it off. He doesn't even look at the rim. Right. Like he's going to shoot the mid-range. And his guy just lays back because he knows he's going to hand it off, which cuts off all the, all the cutting lanes, all the slashing lanes and everything. It cuts it all off.
Yeah.
Right. Do you guys think, like I hear in the chat a lot in the fan base, Mitch does so much for us defensively, almost like we can't survive without Mitch back there. Are we willing to give up a little bit of defense for offense? Or do you think if we have better perimeter defenders, that would work even better if we were to get a center who was offensive minded, but yet not that great defensively? Or do you think it doesn't even matter? The trade-off, whether we get better perimeter shooters or not, the trade-off is worth the trade-off is worth it.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, son.
I was going to say, I think the trade-off is worth it, to be honest with you.
Even without perimeter defenders. Better perimeter.
even without better perimeter defenders, I think that because I think that we can find a decent enough defender from that position that's out there. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's why I keep pointing to Miles Turner because I think he's a good enough defender. He may not be as good as Mitch,
Right.
but, he still averages two blocks per game. He's a pretty tough defender, and he can shoot. He can post up a little bit, shoot the three a little bit, shoot it from mid range. I think he gives you a lot of what you might be looking for from that center position. And he's boys with Randle. If you're keeping Randle around,
Yeah. And just because he may be one way with the Pacers doesn't mean he's going to be the same way with the Knicks. Just because he's not a great defensive player with Indiana doesn't mean because he has the ability doesn't mean that he can't turn it up and be that for the Knicks.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I like the Miles Turner the Miles Turner in the equation. My preference is the guy from Orlando, Wendell Carter Jr. I like Wendell Carter Jr.
Of course.
That's who I would say would be the fit for us. I would
he's undersized too, right?
Yeah, but he's a lot more mobile too.
He is.
Like when you're looking at all the trade-offs, like where he's not as tall, he is very mobile, right? Where he's not as strong as Mitch probably. He's got a handle for his size, a little teeny handle. Now I'm not talking about.
Yeah.
I'm talking about. If we keeping it, what I'm saying. He can shoot outside. He can score. He does set solid screens. He does know how to play with a ball dominant power forward. He's been doing it his whole career. He did it last year with Paolo. He did it in Chicago with Markkanen. So it's not like he can't play with the Randle type power forward.
Right.
My only thing though is with a Wendell Carter is, again, how much are you paying? Right? Like what's the price for him? I mean, and for me, I think, a guy like that would do all those things that Sim said. Like when he goes out to the top of the key, his man has to come with him. Right. Because he's not a 3-point shooter, but he can knock down that three. Yeah, I know what it is. Y'all know how bigs may not be a shooter from everywhere on the floor, but if you ever let them get to their spot, they deadly.
Right.
That is what we're talking about with the Wendell Carter type player.
Yeah, I'm good with Wendell Carter. He's a good rebounder too, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
He's good. He's good.
Yeah, he's tough too. I like them tough guys on the inside. You know what I'm saying? Guys that are gritty, that fight for like loose balls and stuff. You know what I'm saying? I think we kind of missed that just a little teeny bit. Paris Duggar sent in the super chat. I'm just going to read it real quick. Paris Duggar says, Paris Duggar, thank you for the generous contribution. It's about time Paris Duggar said something. Was he in the chat?
Yeah.
Paris Duggar said, he says, it amazes me how much concession folks think Randle deserves with his entitled behavior. A bad day, okay, but when it is consistent, then it becomes damaging and unworthy ignorance for a team to deal with. And I can understand where he's coming from on that. Shout out to Paris Duggar for that, man. I get that, man.
I understand what he's saying.
Yeah.
But I feel like any player that we get here, eventually, something is going to unveil itself about that player. It may not always be behavioral.
Yeah, but it's always something.
Every player that you have in the league, something is going to unveil itself. I mean, this is the reason why when we talk about Randle, some people get mad. I talk about Jimmy Butler a lot when we talk about Randle. Because Jimmy Butler's had drama at every single stop that he's been.
Right.
There's been some kind of drama with Jimmy Butler.
Right.
You know what I mean? Issues with the coaches, issues with other players. Even in Miami, he's had drama. He's had playoff appearances where he did not perform well.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But this year in the playoffs, it was all about, oh man, Jimmy Butler. Look how good Jimmy Butler's doing. Jimmy Butler, if he's able to take down Jokic and the Nuggets, he's the best player in the league. Like you're hearing all of this stuff about Jimmy Butler, and everything in the past goes away when a player plays well.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
You know what it reminds me of? And I mentioned this, I think it was yesterday, maybe. I mentioned it yesterday. That every championship team is gonna have headaches and drama. When the Giants were winning the Super Bowl with Lawrence Taylor, you think man, listen. Lawrence Taylor fell asleep in his car in New Jersey, right? And this dude was getting arrested on like Wednesday night. But as long as he was ready for the playoff game Saturday, nobody cared.
Yeah, right.
You know what I'm saying? All the drama. If there's any Giants fans in the chat, tell me, did y'all talking about, man, Eli miracle throw, right? Oh, Eli's miracle pass, man. He's man clutch in the Super Bowl. Do y'all remember all the drama between Tom Coughlin and Strahan and all these guys? If you 5 minutes early, you 15 minutes late, and all this stuff, and all these headaches and all that stuff. Nobody remembers any of that stuff. All they remember is the Super Bowl.
Right.
That's it.
Exactly. East Blue Drew said, could Randle bring us back from an 0-3 series like Boston? You know what? Maybe not. We don't know. He hasn't been. I mean, he's been in the playoffs twice. Right. I mean, there were playoff series that Jimmy Butler did not bring the Miami Heat back from a 3-1 deficit or 0-3 or whatever. I mean, Jimmy Butler's had playoff series where he averaged 14.5 points per game.
Right.
Up until the last two seasons, Jimmy Butler's averaged 18 points on 42% shooting in the playoffs.
Right.
Up until the last two seasons. Now, and there's been some seasons where he's averaged 22, somewhere it's 15, somewhere it's 17, somewhere it's 14. But the last two seasons, it's been 28 points per game on 50% shooting. And he's 33 years old. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. He's one of those players where it's taking him time to figure out how do I, maybe it took him getting on the right team with the right coaches or whatever, but how do I use all of my powers in these playoffs? I'm not saying Randle's going to take the exact same route, but I just, when I'm looking at, people talk about the behavior and then they talk about the playoff performances. Jimmy Butler's had a similar story in his career as far as behavioral issues, on teams and drama on teams and playoff performances. That's the reason why I talk about Jimmy Butler. Not that Randle's going to do the exact same thing. He may not. He may always average 17 points in the playoffs or whatever he averages. But Jimmy Butler's taking a similar route. That's why I talk about Jimmy Butler.
Right. I think you're right. But I think the thing we don't look at is how rare it is for a player to step up their game in the playoffs. We talk about people not stepping up, but we never talk about how rare it is for somebody to take that next step and to become a Steph Curry in the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? To become a Tim Duncan in the playoffs. I mean, the league MVP in a closeout game was 5 of 18 from the floor at center. And we're talking about Randle.
But
I mean, it's just something we consider.
Impact. He may have been 5 for 18 in a closeout game, but the impact of Joker, whether he's scoring or not, it's just you just can't.
True.
No, I'm talking about Embiid.
Oh, Embiid. Oh, I thought you were talking about the Joker. Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, I'm talking about
Embiid. Embiid has some of the same criticisms as Randle.
Yeah, and he's the league MVP. That was my point.
The same criticisms as Randle. He needs to step it up too.
Yeah.
He needs to step it up, without a doubt.
Yeah,
I still think for those guys playing the 4 and the 5, just throw Randle a tiny bit of bail. It's just easier to cover those guys because they're operating in less space.
Yeah,
a smaller space against taller people. I think we forget that. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's just more difficult. And also, what I would also say is in those games where it comes down to say one possession game, it's never coming down to a one possession game. But like for instance, if you lose by one possession, there are instances throughout the game where a made bucket turns the tide in either direction, right? Like when I point out this, people think I'm picking on Obi, but I'm not, right? Obi Toppin goes to the free throw line when the game is 77-75, and he looks so scared at the line that he rattles the first one in. Good, right? And I'm not blaming Obi for being nervous. You know what I'm saying? To me, if you're nervous, that just shows that you care, right? So he's so nervous that he misses the next one. He doesn't tie the game. We're down by 1. Miami comes down, and they hit a 3-pointer. Josh Hart goes in for a rebound and leaves Caleb Martin wide open at the top of the key, and Caleb Martin is not even a shooter, but Caleb Martin knocks down that 3-pointer there. And so the game could have been tied if Obi knocks down the free throw. Instead, Miami comes down, hits a 3. Now it's a 4-point game. Now you have to coach the game differently.
All right.
So it's those different things. I'm not blaming Obi or Hart or Caleb Martin for that matter. What I'm saying is situationally throughout the game, you can't say, well, if Randle would have hit a shot, we would have won. You can't say that. I mean, yeah. I think that's just taking things a little bit too far.
Yeah.
So,
podcast. Hey, Queen B, I think you singing. Queen B, are you singing Computer Love?
Oh,
you caught up in the Matrix? You got caught up in the Matrix?
So
okay.
Am
I
back or not? Let me try to get out.
Yeah. Now you sound good now, though.
Oh, I said I'm getting ready to get off because I have a client call in 1 minute. But I did drop my podcast on Randle. All of my thoughts on.
Did you put it in the chat?
I put it in the chat earlier. I don't think I could pin it to the chat, but I put it in the chat. I will.
Hey, text if you text it to me, I'll put it on the Blorange Tears YouTube page.
Okay, and so yeah, I talk about what I'm impressed with Randle. I talk about his playoff, performance and what that means for the Knicks in terms of constructing this or shaping the roster into a championship contending team. And then I talk about what Julius Randle is and what he's not, in my opinion, of course, and what that also means to the front office and how they construct this team moving forward. So yeah, I will text it to you. Sam Freezie, always a pleasure.
Always.
All right. So everybody, we're gonna get out of here. Thank y'all for watching. Sim, you got something coming on tonight?
I'm supposed to do a show with Andy later on today, but he got caught up at a work event. I don't know if he's gonna make it on, so I may just end up dropping a video on Keontae Johnson.
Okay.
And then maybe getting on and making it up this weekend. So.
Okay. So everybody, make sure you check out the Keontae Johnson video on Nothin But Knicks, and if you have not done so, make sure you subscribe to Dope Soul Sports Talk. Queen Bee, mad busy doing a lot of different things. Her channel stay popping. She's doing an audio podcast thing, doing things on Nothin But Knicks. Of course, Sam, the Podfather, coming through, rocking with us, man. We appreciate you coming through, rocking with us. You know what I'm saying? The creator of it all. Make sure y'all check out what's the content Sam got coming up later this afternoon. You got anything else, boss?
We got a draft party next Thursday. Of course, it's a free event at Legends.
Okay.
I think the Knicks are gonna do something during the draft. I think they're gonna make some kind of a move. I don't think they're just sitting still. So, that's gonna be dope. And then we got our first annual MBK cookout. It's gonna be right outside of Albany.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So, we got a few people already signed up. It's gonna be dope. It's gonna be a dope time.
Can you send me the thing so I can post it?
Yeah, definitely. I'll send you the flyer.
Okay.
Yeah, and the link.
Okay.
Yeah, it's gonna be a dope time, man. It's gonna be fun.
So how long is it gonna be? Is it gonna be 5 hours all day?
12 to 5.
12 to 5. Okay.
12 to 5. It's $20 for adults, $10 for kids. That's 4 to 10. So 4 to 10 is $10. 11 to adult is $20, and then free for kids who are 3 and under.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
basically to pay for the food,
Is there a way you can prepay?
Yeah. When I get I'll send you the link too, and the link takes you to a site for people to prepay.
All right, that's dope.
Yeah, to
That's
pay for the
dope.
ticket.
So I won't be there, but I'll pay for my stuff. Y'all
Yeah,
already know what it is.
it's gonna be dope, man. We're gonna have a great time. There's gonna be we're gonna be playing, some basketball games, of course playing cards, music, creating content. It's gonna be a good time. It's family friendly event. So, bring your kids, grandmother, everybody.
Okay. Okay.
If you cop a ticket, we'll just give it away in the name of Blorange Tears.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
we're gonna count tickets, bro. You already know, you already know what it is.
So,
So yeah, but oh, you got something else?
nah, that's it, man.
All right.
That's
All right.
it.
Well, I'm gonna get back to work, man, before people start acting ill on a Friday afternoon. You know how it is with
You know what
you
I
know
mean?
how it is with client. What you have, man. Listen, bro. When you start working for listen, y'all. You think you want freedom, right? When you work for somebody else, you want freedom, and then you start, you know what I'm saying, do your thing for yourself, and you find out that it's less freedom. You know what
Man,
I'm
I
saying?
mean, you start doing your thing for yourself, and you find out that work and regular life start to blend together.
Together.
You know what I'm saying? You don't know which one is which anymore. Everything blends together because now almost everything that I do is revenue related. You know
Yep.
what I'm saying? Even when I'm coaching. Now,
Yep.
obviously I coach out of the love of it, but I get a stipend for that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So now, with and I've been doing, contract work for the last 7 to 10 years. But now everything is, I always got my laptop with me. I got anything that I need with me. So in the event that I need to sit down, speak to a client or whatever it is, I could do it at a moment's notice. So,
Yep.
it's freedom and constricting at the same time because,
Right.
you're constantly in this business mindset.
Right.
I went to Jamaica and I was doing stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You're constantly in this business mindset. So it's freedom, but it's constricting at the same time. But
Yeah.
I still rather be doing this than working for somebody else
Than
because
somebody else.
I
Yeah.
can be on the go. I can be at the doctor's office and do a quick meeting while I'm waiting to go to the doctor. I can be on my way here or there. I could just be out shopping and on the phone,
Yeah.
talking about whatever. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. Or at times not knowing which phone to pick up. You looking at your phone. you like pick up one phone. You think it's something, and somebody's talking about timetable rotations. You look at the other phone, and somebody wants you to answer an email with all.
yeah.
Yeah.
But it's dope. It gives you the freedom. It gives you the freedom. If you're fortunate enough to be able to make a living doing something contractually, it just gives you the freedom to pursue different avenues to make revenue. Where you can double and triple your revenue really quick because now, when you work for someone, they got you for 8 hours and you can only do my work.
Yep.
And when you're doing contract work, all right, you know what? And most of that work you can get done in 2 to 3 hours, but they need you there in the office. Now you're doing contract work. I'm working on this. I'm working on this. I'm in a meeting with this person, but I'm working on this too. Like you can do a lot,
Right.
it's a lot you can do, but sometimes you overextend yourself too. What I mean?
Sometimes you
You gotta know those
overextend
limits. I know I overextend myself. I ain't gonna lie. I know I
Yeah, I'm at that place right now, bro. Well,
Yeah.
I'm doing state certifications, man. Still trying to do other things, man. And bro, it just seemed like at night I can't sleep. I toss and turn, candlesticks in the dark. You know what I'm saying? So
feel it.
it's just,
I feel you.
yeah, man. Hey, thank you for coming through, brother. Thank y'all for coming out, hanging out with us, man.
No doubt.
For this lunchtime edition of the neighborhood. Mad content coming this weekend, y'all. Keep an eye out for the NBK family reunion. Sim, when is it? It's in July, right?
July 1st.
July 1st.
July 1st.
July 1st. Yeah, so keep an eye out on that. If you're in the New York tri-state area during that time, make sure if you can go. If you can contribute. And if you can spread the word, spread the word. We
Okay.
out of here, y'all. Peace.
Appreciate you. Peace.
Peace, y'all.